I begin to.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this dress. So this is I'm going to start with the skirt. So you know this is a midi dress, so you have to measure the length you want to work with. So let's say you decide to work with 47, right? So what you're going to do is subtract the upper part, your shoulder to waist, from this. So let's say your shoulder to waist is 17, so that means the skirt part is going to be 30 inches of length. So I'm going to make sure that I have about 30 here, so plus my seam allowance to fold the end of this here. So you see I have about 32, so that I can be able to fold it. So after that, the width, you see there are two of them here on a fold. This is folded into two, this other one on top is folded into two. So I'm like I said, I'm starting with my skirt. So the first thing I'm going to do is to, you see I also added 1 inch or 1.5 for the zipper allowance. 1.5 will be good. So I'm going to go ahead and start to insert my measurement. The width I have is just my hip divided by 4 plus 1. My hip divided by 4, sorry, is 12, because my hip is 48, plus 1, that is 13. So the 1 is for my seam allowance, I mean on this upper one. So basically I'm just going to draw a skirt pattern here. So go up to this waist part, insert my waist divided by 4, whatever that is, mark it, add 2 inches to it, 1 inch of darting, 1 inch of seam allowance. Mark from this point here down to where my hip is. So my waist to my hip, that is going to be around 10 inches. Insert my hip measurement plus 1 inch here. Connect it all the way to this point. Let's start with the skirt because it's going to be the easiest one to make. Then we can go into the detailed part, which is the top and the sleeve. And then at this lower part here, since the width of this fabric is what I have at the hip, I'm just going to take away 1 inch or 1.5 from here. And then I'm going to connect from here to the hip. But you're going to remember 2 inches before the hip so that it's not too sharp. The point is not too sharp. So 2 inches before it gets to the hip, connect it to this point, and then from the hip to the waist. So guys, you see, all I have to do is just go from here, cut it out, and cut it all the way to the end. So guys, once this is done, you see, I'll remove what I cut out for me. The next thing is going to be to add your dart. So you're going to add the dart that goes from here, 4 inches, depending on your nipple to nipple measurement, whatever it is, divided by 2. So you're going to go ahead and add that here. So for me, it should be somewhere here at 4 inches from this point. And then what I'm going to do, all my darts, they're going to stop 2 inches before my hip, which is somewhere here. So it's going to go all the way up to the top, half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side, connect the two. So that's basically it for our skirt part. And then I'm going to, guys, I know we all know how to cut a pencil skirt. So this is just a basic pencil skirt, right? I'm going to split open the back so that we can be able to add our zipper, right? So guys, this so for this we are going to start. If you want, you can trace yours on a paper, but basically what I have here is, you see that this is folded, right? This piece here is folded into two. So what the width is going to be, apart from this part that is folded here, the width I have here is just my bust divided by 4 plus extra 1.5. My bust divided by 4 would be, that's starting from this end here, would be at 10.5 plus extra 1.5, so that will leave me at almost 12 inches. This is my back panel. But if you notice here, I moved the zipper allowance. You see, this is my zipper allowance here. I just folded it away because the back panel is what I'm actually going to use to cut both the front. You understand? Because the front will also have this extension as the back. The back has this 1.5 inch of extension here that I folded away, but the front will have it, is just that the front will be extended even up to 5 inches. That's why I wanted to use the back, because the back, at least the fold here is smaller, so that it will not be confusing for you guys. So you see what I folded here. If you want, you can use your tracing paper for this, but I wanted to do it directly on the pattern on my fabric. So the next thing you're going to have here is your shoulder to waist plus your seam allowance. So my shoulder to waist plus 1 inch of seam allowance. After that, you're going to go up to the shoulder, and then you're going to insert your shoulder. Sorry about this here. This is supposed to be just like this, but my fabric was cut off at this point, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to just be inserting my shoulder measurement here. So you see, I'm going to place this here, and like I said, this front panel has some extension to it, which is this here. So it depends on you how you want yours to be. Let me move this around like this. So it depends on you how you want yours to. So how you're going to determine the extension from the edge of your cloth here is just to add your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus maybe 1 inch or half an inch, that would be okay. So for me, that would be 4 plus 1 is 5. I think mine is more than 5 at this moment, but I'm still going to go back and reduce it. In the meantime, you see, I moved every other thing to this end here, because this is the side, this is the center, this is the center of the back panel, because this is where my zipper is, this is the center of the front, because this is where the front will overlap to form the wrap. So here is going to be my side. You see, the shoulder, the length, they are both the same for the front and the back. So now let's go ahead and start inserting our measurement. Shoulder divided by 2, which is going to be 8. Go ahead, mark it. Come down here by 1 inch of shoulder slope. And then I'm going to go ahead and insert my armhole, which you can calculate by just dividing your bust by 6 plus 1.5. Mark where that line is. So for me, it should be somewhere at 9. Go ahead here. I'm going to connect this line all the way to the top here. That 8 inches. I'm going to also go ahead, mark my bust divided by 4, where it fits in here. So like I said, my bust is 42. Go ahead, mark it here. Give it a curve. And then plus 1.5 inch of sewing allowance, which is here. And that's basically all I need here. Go ahead. You see, all my measurements are starting at the edge of this here. At the edge of this. You see, if I left this open, it will be confusing for me because it's the zipper allowance. That's why it's folded. So from this edge of this cloth here, I'm going to also insert my neck width, which is going to be 3 inches. Mark it. And then I'm going to connect this 1 inch of shoulder slope to this point here. Just like that. Come down to the waist, divide my waist by 4. And like I said, you're going to add 1.1 inch of seam allowance, 1.5 of seam allowance, and 1 inch of that. After that, you're going to go ahead and connect from this point here all the way. So you see, this is what mine looks like at this point. Mark 1 inch for the neck depth in front for here. Connect it just like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut it. So I'm going to cut from this point here all the way, shoulder slope, armhole, down to the side. So guys, you see, I cut out that 1 inch both in front and the back, cut out the armhole, the side. Now the next thing I'm going to mark here is the nipple to nipple again, like I said, for the dart. So for me, it's going to be about 4.5. My dart, like this is the back. So my dart here is going to go all the way up to the chest line, which is this line of my armhole. That is up to 9, from the bottom up to 9 here. But my dart in front, which is still going to still maintain this same point here. Let me go ahead and notch it because I'll need it to determine where my dart in front is. So I've notched it on the 4 layers of this cloth. So my dart in front is going to go all the way up, but it's going to stop where my shoulder to nipple is at 12. So my dart is going to stop at 13. So this is where my dart will stop in front. So it's going to go all the way here to this point on this side, half an inch on this side. All of them going to this point. The same for the back, half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side, all the way to the top here. And remember, our the back here, you're still going to shorten it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the two. Right? Also go up 1 inch at the back here, and then I'm going to blend it into this side. So I'm going to go ahead, connect it all the way from this point here, just like that, to this here. Because remember, your back is shorter than your front, right? Your back half length, your shoulder to waist at the back is shorter than the front, because the front has the bust, which takes up space because of the curve, but the back is straight down. So go ahead and cut this off. It will help your zip knot to bulk up. So guys, this is the back here. All I have to do is to go ahead now, split it open here, because you're supposed to have 2 pieces for the back and also 2 pieces in front. So this is my zipper allowance. So now moving on to the front, what we need to determine is from this center line here. So I'm going to place this back just because I want to show you guys something. So I'm just going to rule a line from here. Let me show you guys where my center is. So this is the midline for this here. If I remove this here, this line here will help me know, okay, this is the center of my cloth. So from this point of this midline now, I'm going to mark where my nipple to nipple will fit in. Like I said, it's 4 plus 1 inch, so that is going to be at 5 inches, which is somewhere here. Right? It depends on you, because you know, the more you move it to overlap, like the more you move it to overlap, the more coverage you will have. If I stop like this way, it's going to be more exposed by the center of the chest. But if I move it closer, the more I'm closing it up, the less exposed it's going to be at the upper part, if that makes sense. So now the next thing you're going to do is this is the center line, right? What I'm going to do is from this point of this neckline, if you want, you can use your straight ruler, connect from this point here. I'm going to come up at least 1 inch here from this bottom part here, because I need half an inch of it to join it to this skirt part. Come up like 1 inch here, and half of it is going to go to adding the cape. Half of it is going to go with the other half that is going to be joining to the skirt part of this dress. So now all I have to do is just to go from this point here and connect the neck just like that. So this is going to form my neckline. To open up more, you can just put your hand in a little bit in, or you can even try to use your ruler to just create a little curve, because it's not going to be open at all. So but you still have to go back in and just give it some curve to it. A straight line will make it too narrow, so you still have to go back in and just widen up your neckline. Cut from this point, go up 1 inch and cut every other thing out. So guys, this is it here. So I'm going to take this away, and you see I have the two piece here. So you see one of it, like I said, it's going to have a dart here on the two of them. And then another thing I'm going to do just to help my sleeve relax is that coming to this armhole part here, you're going to go in from here and take away like half an inch. So you're going to just measure from this point to where your armhole is, and then halfway through that you're going to go in like half an inch, connect it to the top, and then connect the bottom part. This is just to help your sleeve to not bulk up by the center. So I'm going to cut this off. So guys, the next step now is going to be to join my skirt together, and then I'm also going to take this here, and then you see I have two sides to the back here, one on this side, one on this other side, and then all I have to do is just to go ahead and put them together. So go ahead and cut your lining at this point for each part. So you're going to be joining the shoulder together, and then you're also going to be joining this other shoulder together here. So guys, I'm going to cut the sleeve now. So the first thing you have here is the length of the sleeve you want to work with. So ideally you will measure from this point here to maybe probably somewhere here, and then the white part will cover all the rest of your sleeve. It depends on you, but for me, I'm going to make my sleeve a little shorter, so I'm just going to go with whatever the length of this fabric is. That's what I'm going to work with, because I really don't like long sleeve. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and mark 4 inches here, and then from this point I'm going to come down at least up to 11.5, and then the rest is going to be the length of the sleeve. So basically from here to your elbow, and then to the end of your sleeve. And then on this particular line now, the width I have here, the width of this is just my armhole divided by 2 plus like extra 2 inches or so, because I rather have more than to have less. And then I'm going to connect from this angle to this top part here, mark halfway through, and then give it a curve all the way to the top. And then on this part here, you're going to insert what your arm is, maybe at your bicep or wherever this point is. Measure what it is, and then you're going to insert it here, and then add 1 inch of seam allowance. Come down to this here, add what this point on your arm is, and then you can go ahead and also add 1 inch of seam allowance. After that, you're going to connect from here to here to here. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and then also cut from here to here. Initially, the one I'm trying to replicate has a longer sleeve, so that means you would need probably about, let's say, 7 inches to get that length, right? So that you can be able to fold it into 2 when you're done. So you would need 7 inches, but just watch me. I'm just going to use this much here because I don't want it that long, and I just want to fold it on the Akara itself, not with the fabric. But if you want to do it that way, you will just need the fabric the way it is now, and you even need 2 of it, so one placed on top of the other. You need about 7 inches of length, right? So that will be 3 inches, 6 inches in between, half an inch for seam allowance here, half an inch for seam allowance on the other end. You understand? So that will make it 7. So that means you'll be left with 3 inches when you're done. So if you fold the cuff, it will be 3 inches on this side, 3 inches on the other side. That's why I said 7 inches. But you see how I'm going to do my own now. I'm just going to use 1, but it's still the same method. So all you have to do is, let's say your own is 7 inches. You've gone ahead and sewed the end here, right? And it's like this now. What you're going to do is you're going to measure the width you have here. I don't think my fabric goes that wide, but it doesn't matter. So this is what I'm working with at this point now. You see, from this point to this point. So all you have to do now is to go ahead and narrow it a little, right? So you're going to go ahead and narrow it from this point, maybe go in 1 inch here, and go in 1 inch on this other end. Or you can do less than 1 inch, you can do half an inch, that would be okay too. Half an inch is good. So do half an inch on this end here, half an inch on this other end. If I was making my own long, maybe I would have done 0.75. like if mine was going to be that long, like 7 inches that I spoke about initially, I would have done 0.75. But since I'm just doing it once, I'm just going to end it here. So all I have to do is just connect it to this point here, and then connect this other one to this point here, to the end here. You see, it's almost like you're making something that came down this way. So if this upper part is shorter by is wider by just that half an inch I took out at this bottom here. But if you notice, the end here is exactly the width of this fabric. So now I'm going to cut this off here. So cut this here, and then also cut it on this other end here. The next thing I'm going to do is just to take it to the sewing machine, flip it back like this. If it was separate, I would have sewn this close, but it's not separate for me because I'm using a folded fabric. If it's separate on your own, sew it down here. Let me just mark it so you know. Sew it from here to this end with half an inch. Come down here, sew it with half an inch. Come down here, sew it with half an inch. You understand? And then what you're going to do is just to go ahead and join it here. So guys, before you even start to join yours, remember to give it half an inch so that this end of your cuff can fit inside of it. You understand? You need to make sure that the width of this here would have half an inch on this end, half an inch on this end, because the whole goal in this one here is that this cloth here would fit inside of this cuff, right? Since I didn't put that into consideration, but my cuff is still wider, what I'm going to do is just trim off a little bit, like half an inch here and half an inch here. It won't affect my clothes because I have almost 1.5 here as the seam allowance. So I will just take away a little, just so that at the end this cuff here will fit inside of this here. From even the end of it and the end of this part, all of them will fit inside of my cuff. So guys, this is what it looks like. I've joined it on one side now. So you see I flipped it over. So I'm just going to use the other half an inch now to tuck it in now and sew it down all the way to the end. So guys, if it was longer, it would have been narrower. Like I said, a longer one, you can do 1 inch or 0.7 on both ends and then angle it so that when you fold it, it will look something like this, you see. And just remember that the reason you're doing this is because you still, from this point here, this end here, you're still going to sew in your seam allowance here. So that's why it's good to take out enough from this end, because some part of this is still going to go into the seam. So I'm going to go ahead and sew. So guys, the trick here is not to use a lot of seam allowance here. So when you're sewing it in, all you need is like about half an inch, and don't use a fabric that is too bulky so that it doesn't create tension here. I'll still go back in and readjust mine, but what I'm trying to say is that the whole point is that you're going to make it in such a way that when you angle it out, what you'll have left here is going to be little, so that when you give it your sewing allowance, when you fold it over, because the one on that picture is that you can be able to fold it over, and but like I said, I'm not really looking to fold mine because my sleeve length is not enough at the moment, so it might just remain straight. But you see, if it was longer, if I fold it over, it's supposed to give me this. So guys, the thing is, we're going to be cutting it one side at a time. So we'll cut one side of the shoulder, and then we'll go back in and cut the other one. So let's say this is one side now, right? So this is the one that is going to be on the inside. After we cut the longer one that is going to be covering it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead, measure from the back of your zipper, and then come back up here and measure all the way down what measurement you have. So for me, I have about 24.5. That's what I have. So you see all the neckline from the back, including the zipper allowance, everything all the way to the end here, I have 24.5. So you're going to make sure that you have 24.5 bone. So you're going to go ahead, measure just the back of the neck. So it's 4.5 for me. I went ahead and marked 4.5. And then in case if you're wondering, the width I have here is 4.5 width of this here. So now at this end here, which is the end here, don't mind this excess, I'm still going to cut it off. You're going to go ahead and mark at least 2 inches down here, and then from this point of 2 inches, you're going to go ahead and connect it to this point here. You're going to give it from this point, connect it to that 4 inches you mark. It will be better if you use a curved side of your ruler instead of making it straight. It will be more flattering to use the curved part. But let me just go ahead and mark mine for now. So you're going to connect from here all the way to this upper part here. And just like that, we have this here. going this way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, take my scissors, cut from here all the way down, right? And then once I cut it, I'm going to go to my sewing machine, use 1/2 inch to also join this part of it here all the way to the end. Makes sense? So this part here that we sewed close is the curved part, the part that we reduced the inch here, marked here, reduced it. After that, you go ahead, use 1/2 inch to sew it. Once you're done, turn the fabric around like this, right? Iron it again, and once it's done, what you're going to do is you're going to start from the back. So this is the back here to the front. The longer parts is going to be the part here, and then the narrow part is going to be the end. So you're going to take your fabric, join it just like that, fold in 1/2 inch on one end here, fold in 1/2 inch on the other end here, and then fit this in between it like this, just like this, and sew it straight all the way down. So guys, you see it's done. So what we need now is the second one that will overlap and go inside. This one, remember, is going to be stitched with this inside of the skirt part. This is what it looks like once I join it. You see, it's just a straight band like this, but when I turn it around like this and fold it into two, it will form this collar like this, you see. So now the next step is going to be for us to cut the other side of it. So this is what we have on this side now. So guys, now is the other side, right? The one that has the V thing at the end. So basically everything will still remain the same, especially the neckline and this part here. Time around, the fabric will be wider in size, right? And then you spread it out. You're going to go ahead and mark, like I said, instead of the 24, because remember when we measured the length like this, we got 24.5. You might want to add at least extra 6 inches to that, so that you can get that pointy part. And then to the width, instead of doing 4.5, you might want to. So guys, I cut it out so that it will be better for you to see. So I have 7 inches of width, 30 inches of length, because normally what I used for the other one was just 4.5 of width and 24.5 of length, right? But this is the longer one that has the thing. So guys, this is what I'm going to do here. So first thing is that I'm going to go ahead and mark the 4.5 that I actually need for the length. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 4.5 all the way down. So guys, this is the 4.5 line that we used for the other one. So this was the width that we used initially on the other side. So what I'm going to do now is, remember the back neckline that we measured the other time was 4.5 for me. So it's exactly the same still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where 4.5 is on this one here, which is somewhere here, right? I've marked it on that line. So now my curve, normally for the other one, what I did was I marked my 24.5 where it was for me. I went ahead, marked it, and then on that line I came down like 2 inches there, and that was how I connected from this point here to this point. That was how we created the initial one. But for this one now, because of that pointy part of this collar, what I'm going to put here, the back neckline. So normally now what we would have done is just to connect from this 2.5 that we came down by here and connect it all the way, like I said before, to form the back collar. Blend it into this line, right? It will then give you that curve, this line here. It will give us that curve, but we're not going to do that here. What we're going to do is where you marked the length of your collar, the total length of your collar, what, add 1/2 inch to it, and then the remaining length from after that end here, what I have is about, I have 5.5, because remember my length is 30 in total. I used 24.5. I still have 5.5 left. This is the tail of that collar. So what I did is, this is where my collar would have ended at 24.5 here. I added 1/2 inch to it, and then, or if you want, you can just connect your own directly first. So you're going to extend it and join it into that straight line, this straight line that came down from the top. That's this straight line here, right? So what you can do is, from where you mark that line, go ahead and connect it from that point here. Once it's done, go ahead and also add 1/2 inch of seam allowance to it, if that makes sense. You see, this is what I was trying to say. You see what I did here? So guys, let me show you. So this, first things first, I have 7 inches of width extended by, so the length I have here is 30.5, which is extended by 5.5 extra added to it. So now, after cutting my basic, this would have been my basic sleeve that we used for the other one. All this part going up here would have been my basic sleeve. But if you notice here, what I did was to add from this point where my, because this is the part that will be joining to my clothes, what I did was to curve it in, extend it backwards like this, you see, joined it into this straight line to form this angle here, and then I added half an inch of sewing it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, instead of cutting my collar this way to give it this curve here, right, this curve that would have formed going up all the way to the top here, what I would do is, from this back now, I'm going to even go ahead and add, like, let's say half an inch on this other end here, and then I'm going to blend it into this line. So just like that, I'm going to blend it into this line like this. So this is now my new collar. Blend it into that line. So this is what I'm going to go ahead and cut. So I'm going to cut from this point down and then cut out this part here. So guys, at this end now, what I'm going to cut off is just this part here, this angle, like this. So now what I'm going to do is go to the sewing machine, sew this V part here, go up all the way to the end. Initially what we did was just go ahead, sew this seam all the way to the end, like this curve here, this one here, we sewed it all the way like this to the end. But in this one, the difference is that we extended it by this 5.5 with the seam allowance, and we kept our hand straight all the way here. But don't forget that we have 1 inch here. Half an inch of this part of this cloth is going to go into this band here, but half an inch of this here is going to be going into your skirt part, right? That's why I said come up 1 inch at this end here before you start to sew. This end, I would advise, for this side, I would even prefer to start from this end here. So maybe just fold it like half an inch in, like fold this, so that because if you join it straight like this, you might still have maybe bits of this cloth rough like this. So I would just fold it away, just so that in case this piece of fabric is showing, it's just the end, it's just like the fabric is folded. And then from there, I'm going to just tuck in half an inch on the edge of my cloth like this, insert it inside of this here, leaving half an inch of seam allowance here that's going to be sewn into my skirt, because remember, this is going to be on the outer part, this is going to be sewn into the skirt part, because remember, you still need half an inch at the bottom all the way around here to join to the skirt part. So try to leave that half an inch, but make sure that it's folded like this. So I'm going to just start here like this and then continue my stitch all the way down, and you see when you turn it over, it's going to lay like this. So guys, this is what we're working with. You see, I've done this one, you see, just like I said, once you join it, you have this side. So this one here on this side now, once it I'm sewing it now, it's going to go inside of this and be here, and then this one is going to come over here and cover up just like this. And you see, like I said, I'm going to be sewing the end of this into my skirt. Even go with this white part is going into the skirt, but this one on top now, this half an inch here would make it not going. So once I get to sew this front, I'll just take it up like this, join this, because if you're joining the front panel, this is how I'm going to join it. You see, I'm going to be sewing it into the skirt part with this half an inch. I'm going to raise this up so it doesn't join the seam, just like that.
Don't forget that the overlapping is going to go in 5 inches deep on each side.
So once my skirt is joined to it now, you see, with the seam allowance that I have here, half an inch, is going to fall over on top of my skirt like this. So that's how I'm going to do it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead, you see, I've joined one side of the sleeve. I'm going to go ahead and put in the second sleeve now with the curve here. So you're going to be putting even this part into your zipper. So you're going to fold it like this, 1 inch all the way. Guys, if you notice, the fabric I use here is very thick, so it's really giving me problem. But I would advise, don't use a very thick fabric. Even if you use a thick fabric, use one thick one on top and the lining, like a white lining for the back, because I'm using the thick one both in front and the back, and it's giving me this bulk here even on the sleeve. So but I don't have any other thing to do, so like I don't have any other choice. I would advise use a lighter fabric like cotton, and then ironing stay in between it, so that way you avoid all this bulk, like this stiffness that comes zipper like this. So once you do it, your zipper is going to go from the back here all the way to like this one here, just like that. So guys, this is what mine currently looks like. So the next thing you're going to do, I know you're wondering what of the peplum. So guys, I'm not going to be adding peplum to this, plus my video is already getting too long, so but I'll tell you how you're going to do it. So basically, you're going to come to this part where your nipple to nipple is, this dart here. You see my dart on this side, you see my second dart on this side. You're going to put a button there. Go ahead, attach a button there, and then the next thing you're going to do is to measure from that point again all the way, measure it and come back again to the other side. You see what I'm doing? Measure it and come back to that side, because that's where the peplum is going to stop. If you look at the video, you see that her peplum doesn't cover the top part. It's just on the from the back and then came back to the other side, like from one nipple to the other, but then going from the back. So whatever you got, right? Got 20. That 20, I'm going to take that 20, divide it by 3.14. Let's say you got 5. Mark that 5 all the way. The next measurement you're going to insert is the length you want the peplum to be. So let's say you decide to do 8 plus your seam allowance and everything, folding and all. So you're going to mark 8 here, and then you're going to add up everything. So you're going to mark 8 from that distance of your waist to this point, and then go ahead and mark whatever it is. So for me, the total is going to be 13. Go ahead and mark 13 all the way. Go ahead, cut out this part, and then you'll be left with this center part, right? But you have to put into consideration the band, right? So, and what another thing you're going to do is, if you look at her own, you'll find that the edge here, it has this curve. So what you're going to do is, you're not going to make it have a sharp bend. So once you cut out here and cut out here, the next thing you're going to do is to mark something that looks like this. Give this part a curve like this. Whatever you got from the waist, right, try to add 1 inch to it, so that 1 inch will serve as your seam allowance, because when you go to turn it over with your lining now, you're going to be sewing it from this side all the way. So guys, this is what I was saying. So let's say you got the first measurement, marked it. The second measurement here, marked it all the way. Like I said, coming to this end, we are going to give it a curve from this point. So now when we cut it out, this is what we're going to have. Try not to, you're going to try to give this part a curve, like I said, right? So now what you have is something that looks like this. You see, this is exactly what our peplum looks like. So it's going to go from your back and come back and meet this button, the dart here. So it's going to be going from the back. So the next thing you're going to do here is to make a band that is going to go, the band is going to be exactly the measurement you got here. Like I said, is 20. So from this point back to this nipple to nipple here, going from your back, come back to here. So whatever you get, try to add half an inch on this end, half an inch on this end, and then you're going to sew it close. So you're going to turn the band on the wrong side, close it up with that half an inch you left, just like how you added 1 inch to the waist when you were cutting this one, so that you can use the half an inch for the seam allowance to fold this end. You're going to do the same on this one. So half an inch here, close up here, half an inch here, close up here, and then turn it over. Insert this waist here. So once that is done and the waist is already inside of this band, right, our next, so you're going to cut open like a buttonhole like this. If you want, you can cut it this direction, you can make it flat. Do the same thing on this side, so that when the band comes over on this side with this peplum, comes over like this on this side, the buttonhole here will fit into the button. The button on this other side will fit into this peplum. If you want, you can remove it. It's just the button that is designed there. Definitely, you're going to use a button that is the same color as your fabric. That way, it doesn't show that you took away the peplum or you added the peplum, if that makes sense. But I don't want to do it because my fabric is already finishing, so I can't do that one. I don't even want it to. So that's basically it. So this is it here. This is the curve. You can turn it over like this, and this is the bottom of my dress. All I have to do now is just to go ahead and fold it, and then I'm going to fold this one too, like my because you're going to add slit here at the back, right? So you just go ahead, turn it around and fold the end of your cloth, and that's basically it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share and subscribe. Bye.